Hi guys, so I am going to be reviewing how to do long division with multiples. There's a few different ways to do long division, but the way that we're starting in 5th grade this year is with using our multiples. So I have two examples on this division practice sheet that I have for you guys, but I'm going to show you in action how to solve these problems using multiples. So I'm going to start over here with number 3. We have 317 divided by 23. So the first thing we want to do when we are using multiples to do long division is we want to start with either multiples of 10, 20, 30, and so on, because they're easy to do in our head. So for this one, I'm going to start with multiple of 10 because I know that 10 times 23 is 230, and that's pretty close to 317 without going over. So I'm going to start with 10. I'm going to put 10 on the outside. I'm going to do my backwards L. And then I said 23 times 10 is 230. I know that because 23 times 1 is 23, and then we just have to add the 0 there on the end. So now we have 230, and we want to subtract. So 7 minus 0 is 7. I can't do 1 minus 3, so I'm going to borrow and turn this into an 11. And 11 minus 3 is 8. And then 2 minus 2 is 0. So we end up with 87. So now we have to ask ourselves, can 23 fit into 87? The answer is yes. 23 is smaller than 87, so it can fit into it. But how many times? I'm going to go with 3 because I know in my head that if I even rounded 23 up to say 25, so it was easy to double in my head, it would still only be 50. So I know I could probably multiply this by 3 and get close to 87 without going over. So I'm going to put 3 on the outside, and I'm going to do a backwards L. 23 times 3, I could probably do in my head if I tried, but I'm going to do it off to the side just to make sure that I don't make any mistakes. So 23 times 3, 3 times 3 is 9, and then 3 times 2 is 6. So I have 69, and that is less than 87, so it was a great guess. I'm going to subtract. I can't do 7 minus 9, so I'm going to borrow from my 8 over here. Turn this into 17. 17 minus 9 is 8, and then 7 minus 6 is 1. So now I'm left with 18. Can 23 fit into 18? No, it can't. 23 is too big to fit into 18, so that means that 18 is our remainder. And we are going to circle our outside numbers, add them together. 10 plus 3 is 13, and we have a remainder of 18. Now remember, that remainder does seem like it's kind of big, but as long as the remainder is less than your divisor, then it's okay. If our remainder was 24, then that would not be okay. That would mean we would actually have 14. Okay, so as long as your remainder is less than your divisor, then it's okay, even if it's a bigger number and it seems a little strange. All right, so let's look at number 4. I'm going to zoom in just a tad. Okay, so number 4 is 492 divided by 34. So here I am going to start with multiples of 10 again. I'm just going to go with 10. And 34 times 10, very easy to do, 34, and add a 0. We're going to subtract. 2 minus 0 is 2, 9 minus 4 is 5, and 4 minus 3 is 1. So now we have 152. I know that I probably should not use 10 again because 10 gives me 340. So I need to come up with another number when multiplied by 34 gives me close to 152 without going over. So I'm just going to cut this in half and try 5. Actually, I'm thinking about it, and if I cut this in half, I know 300 cut in half is 150, and that's really close to what I'm looking for, so maybe it's even less than half. So let's go with, I'll just go with 3. All right, so 34 times 3. Again, I'm going to do this off to the side just to make sure I don't make any mistakes. 4 times 3 is 12, so I'm going to put my 2 down and carry my 1. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 1 is 102. So that was actually a good guess. 102 is less than 152, so that's perfect. We'll put 102 in there, and then we'll subtract. 2 minus 2 is 0. 5 minus 0 is 5, and now we have 50. Can 34 fit into 50? Yes, it can, and I believe it can only fit in one time. And 34 times 1 is 34. We'll subtract. And again, we can't take 4 away from 0, so I'm going to borrow from my 5 and carry a 1. 10 minus 4 is 6, and 4 minus 3 is 1. So now we end up with 16 at the bottom. Can 34 fit into 16? No, it can't. So that means 16 is our remainder. And we're going to circle our outside numbers, our multiples. And we will add them up. 10 plus 3 is 13, plus 1 is 14. And then we have a remainder of 16. Okay, so I hope these examples have helped it make it a little bit more clear how to do long division with multiples.